March 8, 1942. Inside a guarded conference room in Tokyo. Senior officers of the Imperial Japanese General Headquarters stand over a table covered in maps. Red markers stretch across Southeast Asia and the Pacific like a spreading wildfire. Singapore has fallen. The Dutch East Indies are collapsing. Burma is buckling. Port Moresby is under direct threat. Asterisk in barely 3 months. Japan has carved out an empire larger than anything it had imagined before Pearl Harbor. Victory feels inevitable. Confidence fills the room. Now a new question dominates the discussion. Australia asterisk on the surface. It looks like the weakest link remaining in the Pacific. British forces are gone, redeployed to North Africa. Australia's best divisions, the 6th, 7th, and 9th, are fighting Rommel, thousands of miles away in Tobruk and El Alamein. What remains on the continent appears laughable to Japanese planners, militia units, poorly trained volunteers, and a small population scattered across a landmass as vast as the United States. Asterisk Japanese intelligence reports paint Australia as a resource colony, not a military power. Wool, wheat, minerals, yes. Heavy industry, no. Modern weapons, unlikely. The assumption is simple. Australia depends entirely on British and American supply lines. Cut those lines, and the continent collapses. Asterisk on paper. The conclusion seems logical, but the paper is wrong. What? Japanese intelligence has completely failed to see is what has been happening far from the coastlines, beyond the range of reconnaissance aircraft, inside factories across Melbourne, Sydney, and Adelaide. A transformation has been underway since 1940, one that will quietly erase Australia from Japan's list of invasion targets forever. Asterisk, because while Japanese planners draw invasion arrows across maps, Australia is doing something unexpected. Asterisk, it is building an army, not by importing weapons, but by manufacturing them. Asterisk by mid-1942. Australia will not be defending itself with obsolete rifles and borrowed artillery. It will field 8 fully equipped, modern infantry divisions, built for industrial war, not colonial policing. Divisions designed to fight German panzer units, not jungle skirmishes. Asterisk in 1939. None of this existed. Asterisk Australia's pre-war army numbered just a few thousand professionals. Its factories produced almost no heavy weapons. Artillery, tanks, anti-tank guns, all imported from Britain across oceans that could be severed at any moment. Asterisk then, France collapsed. Asterisk suddenly. Britain itself looked vulnerable. German U-boats began tearing through Atlantic shipping lanes. Australian leaders understood the nightmare scenario. If Britain fell, Australia would stand alone against Japan with whatever equipment happened to be in warehouses, asterisk, so they made a decision that would reshape the Pacific War. Asterisk Australia would build its own war industry from scratch. Asterisk not. To supplement British production, asterisk to replace it. Entirely, asterisk factories were expanded, converted, or built overnight. Civilian workshops became weapons plants. Engineers improvised tooling that had never existed in the country before. Skilled workers trained thousands of new hands at unprecedented speed. Asterisk, by early 1942, the results were already staggering. Asterisk Australian factories were producing thousands of Lee Enfield rifles every week, entirely domestically. The Owen submachine gun, an Australian design, dismissed early by British authorities, entered mass production. Rolling off assembly lines in the thousands each month? Asterisk. This alone would have shocked Japanese intelligence, but small arms were only the beginning. The real shock, the one Japan never saw coming, was artillery. Asterisk. In 1939. Australia had zero domestic artillery production. Every gun in service was imported. Most were leftovers from the First World War. Asterisk by mid-1942. Australian factories had produced over 3,000 modern artillery pieces. Asterisk. The 25-pounder field gun, the backbone of British and Commonwealth artillery, was being manufactured entirely in Australia. Not assembled, Manufactured, barrels, recoil systems, ammunition, all domestic. And this gun mattered. The 25-pounder outranged standard Japanese field artillery by more than 2 kilometers. It fired faster. It was more accurate. And crucially, it was fully motorized. Japanese artillery still relied heavily on horses. That difference wasn't technical, it was operational. Asterisk. Australian batteries could redeploy in hours. Japanese batteries needed days. Australian guns could fire from beyond Japanese effective range. Japanese guns often couldn't reply at all. Asterisk. By June 1942. Each Australian division fielded twice as many artillery guns as a Japanese division with superior mobility and firepower. Asterisk. This wasn't just parity. Asterisk. Asterisk. And Japanese planners still believed Australia was weak. Once the artillery numbers are understood, invasion fantasy collapses under its own weight. Asterisk, a Japanese infantry division in 1942, typically deployed around 36 field guns. An Australian division now deployed 72 modern 25-pounders, all motorized, all supported by massive ammunition stockpiles. Asterisk, firepower alone doubled, mobility multiplied it. Australian artillery moved by trucks built in Melbourne. Japanese artillery moved by horses because Japan simply did not possess enough vehicles to mechanize its army. On good roads, horse-drawn guns might advance 15 kilometers a day. Motorized batteries could move 6 times that. Asterisk. This wasn't just a tactical difference. It defined the pace of warfare. Then came anti-tank weapons. Japanese armored units relied on light tanks like the Type 95 and Type 97, thinly armored, lightly armed. Against Australian 2-pounder and 6-pounder anti-tank guns, they were catastrophically vulnerable. Penetration wasn't uncertain. It was guaranteed. Asterisk, any Japanese landing force would face infantry divisions capable of destroying tanks at long range. Supported by artillery that could engage without retaliation, asterisk. And that was only the ground war. Australia was also producing vehicles at an astonishing pace. General Motors, Holden factories were delivering hundreds of military trucks every week. Ford Australia was producing armored utilities and logistics vehicles under license. By mid-1942, Australia had manufactured over 15,000 military vehicles, enough to mechanize multiple divisions completely. Asterisk for comparison. Japan's entire army worldwide possessed roughly 40,000 vehicles, most already allocated across China and Southeast Asia. Asterisk, Australia, with 1/10 Japan's population, was rapidly closing that gap in a single theater. Then there was ammunition. Artillery without ammunition is useless. And this is where Japan's position became hopeless. Asterisk. Australian factories were producing hundreds of thousands of artillery rounds per month for a single gun type. Japan's total annual artillery ammunition production for all calibers barely exceeded several million rounds. Asterisk Australia was approaching that number for just one weapon system. Asterisk, this meant Australian guns could fire continuously. Japanese guns were rationed. Asterisk, and now we reach the part Japanese planners truly feared. Logistics. Asterisk, an invasion of Australia was not comparable to Malaya or the Philippines. The distances were immense. From Japan's forward base at Rabaul to Brisbane, nearly 1,800 kilometers. To Sydney, over 2,000, an invasion would require hundreds of thousands of troops, millions of tons of shipping, and permanent naval escort. Japan's merchant fleet was already stretched thin, supplying China, Southeast Asia, and island garrisons. Asterisk, diverting shipping to Australia would starve every other front. Asterisk. Fuel consumption alone would drain Japan's strategic reserves at catastrophic speed. Asterisk, even without resistance. The invasion was barely feasible. Asterisk, with resistance, industrially armed, motorized. Artillery-heavy resistance, it was impossible. Asterisk. But Japan still didn't fully understand this. Asterisk, the realization came slowly. Through fragments. Asterisk, captured Australian troops, carried unfamiliar weapons, Owen's submachine guns with Australian markings. Reconnaissance photos showed modern artillery emplacements where obsolete guns were expected. Intercepted radio traffic referenced armored units that intelligence files insisted did not exist. Asterisk. By the time Japanese analysts revised their estimates, the window was gone. Asterisk. In April 1942, plans for a direct invasion of Australia quietly disappeared from Imperial headquarters documents. Asterisk. They weren't cancelled. They were abandoned. Instead, a new strategy emerged. Isolation. Asterisk. If Australia could not be conquered, it would be cut off. Port Moresby would fall. The Coral Sea would be controlled. American reinforcements would be strangled. Asterisk. This shift led directly to the Battle of the Coral Sea. That battle stopped Japan's southern expansion cold, and it bought Australia something priceless. Time. For factories to accelerate. Asterisk. Time. For divisions to complete training. Asterisk. Time for weapons to flood into New Guinea. Asterisk. When Japanese forces attempted to advance over the Kokoda Track, they encountered something they had not planned for. Asterisk. Australian firepower. The Kokoda Track campaign was not meant to be decisive. Asterisk. From the Japanese perspective, it was supposed to be a limited advance, a bold thrust to seize Port Moresby overland while naval operations tied down Allied forces elsewhere. The troops committed were veterans, hardened in Malaya and the Philippines. They expected resistance. They did not expect industrial war. Asterisk. The Australian units defending Kokoda were militia young, undertrained, lightly experienced. On paper, they should have collapsed. Asterisk. Instead, they fought with automatic weapons, supported by artillery dragged into impossible terrain. Supplied by a logistics system Japan could not match. Asterisk. Australian soldiers carried Owen's submachine guns, reliable in jungle mudware. Japanese weapons often jammed. Every platoon had Bren guns. Mortar and artillery provided fire support that Japanese troops simply did not possess. Asterisk. Japanese artillery could not be hauled through jungle mountains. Australian guns, supported by trucks, manpower, and endless ammunition, could. Asterisk. At Isurava, a few hundred Australian soldiers held off more than 1,000 Japanese troops for days. The casualty ratios told the story. Firepower mattered more than numbers. Japanese troops began to starve. Australian troops continued to receive ammunition. Asterisk. This pattern repeated across New Guinea, and it didn't stop there. By late 1942, Australia had become more than a defender. It became a supplier. Asterisk. Australian factories equipped not only their own forces, but Allied units across the Southwest Pacific. American troops used Australian ammunition. New Zealand batteries fired Australian guns. Damaged equipment was repaired locally instead of shipped back across the Pacific. Asterisk. For General Douglas MacArthur, this changed everything. Australia was no longer a liability to defend. It was a base to launch from. Asterisk. As Japan's shipping vanished under Allied submarine attacks, Australia's factories kept running. While Japanese units rationed shells, Australian artillery fired thousands of rounds per engagement. Asterisk. By 1943, Australia had mobilized over 500,000 soldiers, supported by a domestic industrial base, producing weapons faster than Japan could destroy them. Asterisk. Japan now faced a new reality. Australia was not a target. It was a threat. Asterisk. Japanese forces in New Guinea were no longer there to prepare invasion. They were there to avoid being pushed back. Tens of thousands of troops were tied down, consuming supplies Japan could not replace. Every month, the balance worsened. Australian production accelerated. Japanese production declined. Asterisk. By 1944, Australian divisions were equipped with heavier guns, better anti-tank weapons, and armored vehicles Japan had no answer for. And all of it was being built within the theater of war itself. Asterisk. The intelligence failure of 1942 haunted every Japanese decision afterward. Asterisk. They had misjudged not Australia's courage, but its capacity. Asterisk. Modern war is not decided by bravery alone. It is decided by factories, logistics, and production curves. Japan planned its strategy based on what Australia looked like in 1939. Asterisk. Australia became something else entirely by 1942. Asterisk. And by the time Japan understood that transformation, it was far too late. Asterisk. Australia was never invaded, not because Japan lacked ambition, but because Australian factories made invasion mathematically impossible. Asterisk. Sometimes the most decisive battles are never fought. Asterisk. They are manufactured.